Hey guys, today we're going to be sharing our top tips with you on how to speed up your Windows 10 laptop for free. Let's get into it. Alright, so as a basic introduction, we all know that your computer can slow down from time to time, so what can you do about it? I mean, essentially there are three resources that we need to think of. You've got your memory, you've got your disk, and you've got your processor. And generally, the more stuff that is happening on your computer, the slower it gets. So I suppose the big question is all that stuff really necessary? And generally the answer is no. And the other question is it doing it when you need it to do it? Usually the answer is no. So if we can cut back on things that don't need to be running or only need to run when you want them to run, that's a big difference, then overall everything should be running faster for you. So let's not yabber on, let's just get into it. First thing that we're going to look at is Windows updates. Now this is the simplest of things that you need to do. On Windows Update, it's just going to keep your computer basically updated from Microsoft. The reason to do this is that inside all of these updates, and you can see I've got one to run here, I'm just going to run that now. Boom, that didn't take very long. But inside these updates, we get feature updates and quality updates. Now, quality updates is something that came out very recently. Let me just grab this for you and I'll show you what's happening. Actually, one of the updates that came through from Microsoft ended up slowing down computers, and there was a big uproar from the gaming community. And then very quickly after, they released a fix that updated it and fixed the speed issues again. So it's really, really simple. Keep yourself up to date with Windows updates and you'll keep your Windows version running as fast as it can. Easy. Next, let's talk antivirus, because most computers that you buy will actually come with some kind of built-in antivirus from maybe Norton or Symantec or McAfee. They'll come bundled in with something that's free to start and then you have to pay for later on. Well, here's the interesting thing. Windows 10 actually comes with a built-in antivirus, which is Windows Defender. Now, I'll say that in the past, Microsoft really haven't been very good at security. We probably used to make jokes way back in the Windows XP and Windows 7 days. But today, Microsoft and Microsoft Defender particularly is a really good antivirus. And again, when we look at the independent testing, let me show you this. You'll see here's an independent set of testing people who look at the best antivirus software for home users, and again they'll look at it for business users. And here, February 2021 is all of the best antivirus, and they're ranked by protection, performance and usability, scored out of 6, and you can see that right here is Microsoft Defender. The built-in free antivirus is tip-top for performance, protection and security. Now that means that every single time that you're opening a file, you're browsing the web or you're opening an application, actually compared to the entire benchmark on here, Microsoft Defender is twice as fast as the average. So really simple tip there is to go and throw away your current antivirus and use Microsoft Defender. Now, I know we're going to get some feedback on that and people saying, oh, it's not as good. Well, independent testing here from these guys says it absolutely is. It scores full marks across the board. So, you take your choice. The next thing you can do is remove unused applications. Over time, we tend to install things, demos, applications, we use them for a period of time, and then we just leave them sitting there in the background. Now, the thing is, that's generally hogging, obviously, your disk space. But if they've got any background processes, then they'll also be doing things that you don't need them to do anymore. So again, hit your Windows key, add, remove programs, hit return, and you'll get a list of all the different applications that you've got installed. Go through and pull out the things that you don't use anymore. If I have a look at mine here, I can see that most of these things are things that I'm using quite consistently. But if I want to go which ones are taking up the most space, I can have a look at the top here, sort by size, or I can sort by installation date to find the oldest stuff, but sort by size and see which ones are taking up the biggest amount of space. And then I can just remove them. Click here and click uninstall. So again, a nice tidy set of applications will also reduce the overall burden on your computer. Next up, we're going to look at applications that start when your computer starts and also run in the background. So again, if we hit the Windows key and type Startup, you're going to see an option called Startup Apps. Here, we're going to see every single application that is set to run when the computer boots. Now, again, a lot of the applications that you install seem to insist that you're going to use this application every time you turn on the computer. You're probably not. Most of the time, you're going to want those applications when you choose to use them. So instead of having things like this Jabra software turn on every time I turn on the computer, you just toggle the switch to off. So you can see here, I've been through my list and said, hey, you know what, I don't want Cortana, I don't want this graphics command center. These are just toggled to off. I will turn them on when I need them, or I'll start those programs when I need them. So I bet if you were to look through your computer, there'd be a whole load of things here that you can turn off that will make a difference. Actually, over here on the right-hand side, you can see whether these are going to have an impact or not on your computer's performance. OneDrive and Teams are tools that I use every single day. So although these do have high impact, those are actually things I want to use. So they're left switched on. In terms of background applications, one of the quick things that you can do here is have a look at the Task Manager. So right click on the toolbar, hit Task Manager, and you will see immediately every single thing that is running on your computer right now, whether it's taking up CPU, memory, or disk space. Actually, we can click up here and see which ones are taking up the most amount of resources at any one time, but it's a good way for you to have a look and see what is running, and are all these things that I actually want to be running? And it can give us a good indication of things that we might want to either uninstall or stop from running when the computer starts. Again, across the top here, we can see a list of things that are running on startup, very much like the startup tool that we looked at earlier. But using this as a guide, you might be able to quickly see, okay, here's an application. I definitely don't use it all the time. So for some reason, it's taking up CPU, it's taking up memory. I can stop it from starting up. And if I really don't use it, I can uninstall it. Simple. One other thing we can do is also have another look at the background apps under the privacy settings. So again, hit Windows, type privacy, and hit enter on those privacy settings. Here, if we look for background applications, here, you'll see let apps run in the background. Okay, cool. And then here's a list of applications that can run in the background. Now, some apps do have a genuine reason for doing this. They might be looking for updates, that sort of thing. But do you really need your calculator running in the background when you're not using it, or the camera? I don't think so. In fact, Dolby Audio, I don't tend to use at all. So these things you can just toggle to off. And again, you can see I've been quite vicious in turning off the things that I'm not interested in, but there's a load of other things here that I can just go ahead. Speed test, yeah, I run speed tests, but I don't need it running in the background all the time. All of these little things are going to add up to a big difference in performance because we don't need these things just hogging resources. So toggle these to off, go through your list. That's that one. One of the really nice features in Windows 10 is the new one called Storage Sense. So again, let's just hit the Windows key and start typing Storage Sense, and you'll see an option right here, Storage Sense. Now, previously, you would have gone through and you'd have manually sort of cleaned up the recycle bin, edited temporary internet files, or removed, temporary files, that sort of thing. And you can still do that, but actually in Windows 10, there's a really nice feature where it will just take care of itself. So if I go ahead and toggle Storage Sense on, and then I can actually give it a bit of configuration here. Really, really simple stuff. I can choose for it to run only when my hard drive's running out of space, or I can get it to do it as like a maintenance task, really, get it to run every week. And what it's going to do, it's going to go through and delete temporary internet files. It's going to empty the recycle bin. It could even have a look in your downloads folder and say, anything you haven't looked at in the last 30 days, maybe you don't need it anymore. So again, it can go ahead and delete things from the downloads folder. One of the really nice things as well I can see is this integration with OneDrive. So here's my OneDrive folder, and what I can do here is say if I haven't used the file or I haven't accessed that file in 30 days, then go ahead and remove it from my computer. Because with OneDrive, it's already synced to the cloud anyway. So all it's doing is it's freeing up the local disk space. And again, less disk space being used, less things for Windows to index and constantly keep track of is going to lead to a faster computer. And it's just the kind of thing that will run now in the background once a week and do those maintenance tasks for me. Simple stuff. One of the main things we do with our computers, of course, is browse the internet. Now, in the same way that we looked at the task manager earlier for computers, there is actually a task manager just for the browser. So if I right click up here on the taskbar and then I can come down to browse task manager, what that's going to do is actually start to show me all of the extensions and plugins and anything that I might be using that is taking up memory or CPU. It'll even tell me which of these tabs that I'm browsing at the moment is taking up space. Now again, it used to be that you'd say, okay, you've got too many tabs open, start closing down tabs and free up memory and free up resources. You don't need to worry about that too much. Modern browsers in Edge and Chrome have got the concept of sleeping tabs. So if you haven't accessed it in a while, it will actually put those tabs to sleep and it'll stop taking up those resources. But as soon as you click on them, they're ready to wake up and get back going. But this can be a really nice way for you to look and see if you've got any extensions or plugins or anything like that that are taking up resources. Again, bundled out of the box with Windows 10, you tend to find that a lot of things have been added into your browser for you, or sometimes if you're the kind of person who just installs new apps and just hits next, 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 and doesn't read any of those optional things, you will sometimes find extensions getting added to your browser that you don't want. I'll give you a little example. I'm looking at Edge here, but if I just fire up Chrome and then go ahead and look at the extensions, again in Chrome it's slightly different. I'm just going to hit the three dots over here, and then I'm going to look for Tools and Extensions. You can see here I've got 4 extensions that I don't use. I don't use Google Docs, I don't use Docs, Sheets or Slides, but all of these things are ready to go and built into Chrome. I don't need them. I can toggle them and just turn them off here, which will conserve some resources for me, or I can completely remove them. Easy. But again, that means every single browsing experience that I have now using Chrome will be faster because there's less stuff going on in the background. One of the other things we can look at as a quick way to improve performance is the power settings. On laptop devices, you can have a little click on the battery icon down here in the corner, and you can see that you do have an option to toggle between best battery life and best performance, and that's all to do with when it's plugged in. We do have some finer control over this and the same sort of features when you're on a desktop device. Again, if I just quickly go into settings, over here onto the system icon, and then go to power and sleep. And what you should see over on the right is the additional power settings. You give that a click, and what you'll find is that you've got a selected plan here, which is balanced. Now, on your desktop devices, what you will also find is a performance plan. So you can choose the performance plan, which will automatically go ahead and set everything that you want to a much better performance profile. So better CPU timings, less sleep, better Wi-Fi performance. Again, all those things are going to make your computer run faster. Moving on from performance mode, there is actually an ultimate performance mode. Oh. Ultimate performance mode is actually almost like a hidden secret feature. You have to manually unlock it. So let's just have a look at how we do that for you. There's a command that you can type. I'm just going to grab for us now. And we just do this add a command prompt. I'm going to run it as an administrator to make sure this runs properly. Here we go. But we're just going to paste in this command. We'll share this command and a link to the article in the notes below. But we run this, and this will unlock ultimate performance. Now, when I go back into those power settings, I'm just going to close the window and open this back up again. You should see that we've got an additional plan for ultimate performance. If I give that a click, that is literally it. That's all I need to do. See, this machine is now configured for maximum performance on CPU, Wi-Fi, disk performance, absolutely everything has now been tuned for ultimate performance. Awesome. There are a couple of things that you can tweak. Again, if you really, really want to, you can jump into the plan settings and hit the advanced power settings. And down here, you can just go and double check. Okay, let me just have a look at the processor power management. What's the maximum processor state? Great, 100%, that's exactly what we want. What's the minimum processor state? Okay, on battery it's 5%, but plugged in, 100%. Ultimate performance really is working. Let's have a look at the Wi-Fi settings as well. I've got that here under wireless adapter, power saving mode. Here we go, when it's plugged in, maximum performance. So you can really see just by typing in that one command, we've boosted every single element of the CPU, the Wi-Fi, the disk, everything is now going to be running as fast as it possibly can. Yes, the trade-off is that we're going to be consuming more power while we do that. So if you're worried about the environment, maybe you don't want ultimate performance, maybe just, good performance is good. But I'm happy with ultimate performance. That's what I'm going to have set. And that's pretty much it. There's some really nice tips there for you to go ahead and get as much performance as you can out of Windows 10 and get some real speed improvements. Now, I know there's lots of other little tips and tricks that you can do around disabling the animation and updating how the windows are handled and transparency. What I found is you can go ahead and do those, but the results are nominal in actually how much performance you will get. I've shown you today some of the real best ways to do that. And I guess just one final thought here is, this is all based around using a modern computer with a modern processor, at least 8 gig of RAM, and also an SSD hard drive. Because if you're still running a computer that's got, say, 4 gig of RAM and a traditional sort of mechanical spinning hard drive, you're really not running the right type of machine that Windows is going to run well on. Now, what I would say for those is you can upgrade those. So for most laptops, and certainly for the desktop devices, if you've got a traditional hard drive and just 4 gig of RAM, it's very, very easy to go ahead and upgrade those. In fact, check out our previous video here, where we've done that, and you can see how easy it is. It's so much cheaper than having to go out and buy a brand new machine. And again, the performance difference of going from a 4 gig machine with a traditional hard drive to an 8 gig machine with an SSD is night and day. Trust me, you will thank me for that one. Well, that's all we've got, guys. If you've got any other tips or tricks, we'd love to hear them. Pop them in the comments. But other than that, we will see you next time.